Hello, I'm Miles with Best CDU. Today we'll be going over the AP Human Geography midterm review, and we'll be answering the questions, going into some detail, and explaining it. Question 1, what are disadvantages of small scale zoomed out maps? So disadvantages would be less detail, you're not able to see as much on a map. It's as if you were on the moon and you were looking onto the earth and trying to see Jacksonville. You could, but it doesn't show the detail. You're not going to be able to see where Wolfson is, for example, from space. It doesn't give the detail. But you zoom in on Jacksonville, you might be able to see Wolfson, you're able to see where the beaches are, Zoom in even further, you're able to see the details, you're able to see where the parking lot is, you're able to see where the pool is, you're able to see where the football field is from that view. Remote sensing is getting information from far away. Getting information, you can get it from aircraft, from satellites, and this is used. So I got to take a picture, somebody takes a picture, we got a camera in a different room. Example, we got a camera in a different room, and I'm looking at a flower pot, okay? That'd be remote sensing because I'm looking at this flower pot from a different location. Same thing goes with, I'm looking at, and the true definition of remote sensing is getting information remotely. That's it. That's the definition. So scale of analysis is what you're looking at. So you can look at the United States, right? You look at the entire United States. You can look at the whole world. It's just what you're looking at. You got a photo of the entire Earth in it. The scale of analysis is the entire Earth, right? And you got a photo of Florida. Scale of analysis would be state level scale of analysis. There's that, yeah. So a census tract is a section of an area, right? So I look at Jacksonville and it'll be separated in certain areas, right? So you're able to understand what's going on in that area. So, and I found this quote very helpful. Typically containing about 1,200 to 8,000 people per area, right? And it's just to understand what's going on in there. It's for statistical purposes, is what it's for. So when you're defining a place, it is a unique location with unique stuff. But it's a location, right? You look at Jacksonville, you're not going to find anything like Jacksonville anywhere. Not nearly as crazy. Never mind, gotta correct that. There's some pretty crazy places. But you look at it, and it's the area and its characteristics is what sense of place is. Correction. I said sense of place. Sense of place is the feeling you have toward an area. My feeling toward Wolfson, it's my high school. I played my first sport at Wolfson. It is on the south side of town. No, that'd be just defining place. But sense of place is a feeling or connection you have to a place based on your experiences with that place. Now, just defining place on its own is a physical location with physical characteristics. Has nothing to do with your emotions, and it can be seen by anybody. That is place. So that was number 5. Number 6 is sense of place, which is the one with the emotions. So this is the demographic transition model, or DTM, right? What it does is it measures birth and death rates, and you can look at this, the total population, the birth and the death rates, how they decline, how they affect each other. It represents how they affect one another. So this one's going to take a little longer, but the question is, what does each stage of the DTM imply about development? So the first stage is stage 1, expanding, which has high birth rates and death rates and limited development. The second one is expanding, which has low death rates and high birth rates. 3 is stationary, where births decline and the population grows and has advanced development. And stage 4 is contracting, which has low births and low death rates, high development, and a stable population. And the 5th one I don't have on there. I think it was 4 and 5, or maybe it was 3 and 4 that were combined. The answers are still the same to an extent. The DTM will still reflect this, but number 5 would be low birth rates aging population, and decline. So Japan is in 5, where they have an aging population and they're going down. That's a pretty good example. Yeah, it's not all on there. I don't know why this example didn't have it, but. So the question for 9 is, what is the relationship of the epidemiological transition model to the DTM? Describe each stage of the ETM to each stage of the DTM. So, if you look at this, it looks a lot like the DTM. This is the ETM, big difference. But what it does is it shows the diseases that go on in such a blurry image. But it shows the diseases and how they affect the areas, right? So, I'm going to give my definition, what I think, my definition. The states, oh wow, already messed it up. The stages for ETM and DTM correspond. Stage 1 focuses on pandemics, while stage 5 focuses on degenerative diseases. Degenerative diseases are diseases that can cause long-term issues like scoliosis or other issues, but stuff like that. So, and that's what this shows right here. That's number 9. So, number 10. What is the Malthusian theory, and why did his prediction not happen? So, Malthusian, I can't pronounce it right. The Malthusian theory is the idea that humans will outgrow, and the population will outgrow the amount of food that a country or state can develop, right? It will outgrow and it will lead to famine. That was the idea of it. But it was proved wrong when something like that would happen, where the country was growing very big, but that gives you more workers to be able to develop stuff like this. And now there is the argument for aging populations, right? But it still does not work, because there still is children being born and still people dying in a way that is still able to equal out and cancel out the Malthusian theory. So that's number 10. So number 11 is, what is the trend of Japan's population pyramid, which their population is declining, not declining, it is aging population. It is an aging population pyramid. I'm dragging this on too much than it needs to be, but that's what it is. 12 says, using Japan's population pyramid, what are the challenges Japan's society/government could face in the future? So they could have the issue of having a declining workforce, declining population, as well as losing affordability for healthcare and being able to afford to take care of elderly in elderly homes, and that decreases the money that is being taken in for the economy. So 13 are, what are some examples of anti-analyst policies? So just anti-birth policies, any policies that stop children from being born, for example, Chinese one-child policy, or the United States with their family planning programs and all that. That's anti-analyst policies. So number 14, what are some examples of pro-analyst policies? This is the opposite of anti-analyst policies. Policies that promote having children, like tax cuts, tax credits, paid leave, vacation, all that. Pro-analyst policies promote having children. Number 15, since 2000, what has caused the majority of international migrants to seek asylum? That would be, what I wrote was conflicts, wars, and prosecution. Conflicts being if a country has a conflict with somebody else. If a person has a conflict with someone else, they might go to another country. Asylum is when you go to another country to be safe from another or a group of people. Someone may come to the United States from the Ukraine, if they have issues with people in Ukraine, right? To escape a war that they could be prosecuted in, or have issues where they want to be safe, they would come to the United States and claim, what did I just say? Claim asylum. That's what it is. Number 16 is, was the difference between arithmetic, psychological, and agricultural density. Okay. Arithmetic density is the total population divided by the land area. Psychological density is the total population divided by arable land. Agricultural density is the ratio of farmers to the amount of arable land. There's that one. 17 is what is causing the modern emigrations, emigrations, not immigrations. Immigrations is coming into the country, emigrations is leaving from Syria. So, they're leaving Syria because of the civil wars and the issues with it being very violent. They have violent conflicts and many other issues going on in the country. But it's mostly because of civil war and violent conflict is why they're leaving for 17. Number 18, what stage of the DTM are Switzerland, Canada, and New Zealand in? So all three of them are in stage 4, which they have low birth rates, low death rates, and high development. That would be stage 4. And I described that earlier in the video. Number 19, define time-space convergence. So time-space convergence, you have two places, right? You've got Jacksonville, Florida, and Los Angeles, California, right? So forever ago, right? It's going to take a while. We didn't have phones. We didn't have landlines. It took a while to get information from point A, Jacksonville, to point B, Los Angeles. Takes a while, right? So time-space conversion is the getting it across quicker. It's how much quicker it's traveling, right? Technically, kind of, right? So we have smartphones. This distance, okay, is the amount of time. Let's say, because, it's probably going to take a couple months, right? By going on horse and buggy to get over there, right? So, right, we got phones. Makes it a lot shorter, right? So that's what time-space conversion is. It's just making it easier to get the time over. Number 20, define assimilation, acculturation, and syncretism. So assimilation is a minority group taking the traits of the majority group, right? 2, 1, 3. They have their other ones. They didn't get rid of them. They took from this group, okay? Acculturation is the exchange, right? You swap them. There you go. Syncretism is the blending of the two cultures to make another culture. See? Kind of makes sense. Not really, but that's the definition. 21, what kinds of Christianity are found in the U.S. and how do they diffuse to the U.S.? So Christianity in the U.S., you got Roman Catholicism, Protestants, and Orthodox. And they spread through colonization from Britain, from migration as well, missionary work, those kind of things. That's how they spread. That was for 21. Number 22 is define cultural relativism, cultural traits, cultural landscapes, and cultural hearths. So first of all, cultural relativism is the idea that a culture should be understood based on the culture itself and not by outside sources. Cultural trait is the elements of a culture like language, customs, or religion. Cultural landscape is the physical landscape that has been changed by humans. So you look at America, you got McDonald's, you've got in Mexico, you've got more Mexican restaurants, you've got more, and you can look at how they do things down there. You look at their buildings, they have different building styles. That's part of the cultural landscape. You go over into India, and they're based on their cultural traits, their religion. Typically, you've got Buddhism and the other one, and they have these statues that they make of their gods, right? And that's part of the cultural landscape. So, and the cultural hearth is where it comes from. So, Christianity is typically Middle East area, right? And it spreads out. For example, spread over to the west, the United States, via, just went over this, European colonization, missionary work, and migration. 23 is explain the difference of Pidgin and Creole languages. Pidgin language is a simplified version of another language. So you look at English and you might have a simplified version of it, and it's not fully developed, it's not perfect. Now, Creole language is completely fully stable, like Spanish or English or Latin or French. I mean, if you take Latin, a little crazy, but I'm not gonna judge anyway. But that's the difference between Pidgin and Creole. So 24 is explain the diffusion of Hinduism and Buddhism is different. How's it different? So Hinduism started in India and spread to Southeast Asia through trade and conquest, while Buddhism was spread through missionaries and trade. So that's 24. Number 25, explain the diffusion of Christianity to the Philippines. So Christianity spread through Spanish colonization, which led to it becoming the most dominant religion in the Philippines, being primarily Catholic. Islam spread from its hearth in Arabian Peninsula. Sorry, this is 26. I didn't even read you the question. 26. Explain the diffusion of Islam from its hearth. So Islam spread from its hearth in Arabian Peninsula, and it was spread through, just like Christianity, it was spread through conquest and trade, as well as missionary efforts. So 27 is what factors help make English the most widely used lingua franca. So it is typically used because the United Kingdom and English colonizers would be English, obviously, and they were very powerful. They did a lot of colonization and brought English to a lot of different areas, and that's why it became one of the most dominant lingua franca. That's 27, and we're going into Unit 4. Unit 4, question 28. How is the organization of federal state different from a unitary state? What are common characteristics of each state? So a federal state has multiple levels. We have national, state, and local, and then we have a unitary state, which is one government, like Tokyo, Japan. Tokyo, Japan has that one level of government, no other levels, and it's all central in that one place. The United States is an example of a federal government. All right, now we're in Unit 4. So, number 28. A federal government has multiple levels. We look at the United States as a federal government. We have national, state, and local, right? It has the different layers of it, and it doesn't have just one defined capital. We have the capitals of all the states, and we have all the different governments in those states, right? And then we have a unitary state, which is like Tokyo, Japan, where it has one state, which is in Tokyo, right? And does not have any other local governments. Okay. Now we're going to go on to 29, which is identify and explain the 4 zones of the UN's Convention of the Law of the Sea, also known as UNCLOS. Okay, so territorial is 12 nautical miles offshore, and the state still has sovereignty over this area. The EZZ is up to 200 miles offshore. They have power over the economic resources offshore. The continuous zone is 12 to 24 miles offshore, where laws can be enforced like customs and migration and stuff like that. High seas is the areas beyond their jurisdiction where they don't have power over anything. So I can go out there and make a gambling ship and nobody can do anything about it. Or I can sell illegal movies, which is an example of something that's actually happening, where they're able to go into the high seas and do whatever they want because they're not under federal law. Now, you still can be if you murder somebody out there, you still can be charged in whatever state you go back to, but they can't do anything while you're out there. Number 30, identify and explain the different types of gerrymandering. So, we have cracking, which is putting voters across many different districts to limit their influence. So we can look at this here. You can see that they put them in different areas, right? to try and get... That's not right, is it? Hold on. I want to make sure I'm getting this 100% right for you. So this could either be cracking or packing, right? So packing, they get as many people in one area as possible, right, to further their influence. Cracking would be trying to separate them. So let's say there's a bunch of Republicans here. What the Democrats are going to try and do is stop them by going all over here, right? It can go either way. It could be Republican or Democrat, but that's what's happening in this image here. So cracking is putting them in different areas to limit their influence, and packing is concentrating them to boost influence. Number 31, explain how centripetal and centrifugal forces can impact a state. So you have centripetal, which is taking them apart. No, sorry. Centripetal is bringing them together. Centrifugal is taking them apart. So some examples would be, you can have religion. Sorry, I have it loaded up on here. For centripetal, which is bringing them together, would be a shared culture or religion. And centripetal, which divides a state, would be ethnic or religious conflicts, as an example. Okay, so 32, define a stateless nation, multinational state, and a nation state. So a stateless nation is a group of people with a common identity, right, but don't have a state to themselves that is fully that state. So you look at Mexico, and it's not a fully Christian, not fully Jewish, not fully Buddhist, or anything like that, right? A multinational state is a country with multiple ethnic groups, or nations, but multiple ethnic groups or nations, and within their nation. So United States would be considered a multi-nation state, which sounds strange, but you got to understand that a nation can also just be a group of people, or just a group of ethnic group or religious group, right? A nation state is a state that coincides with the nation, right? So a nation state, we can say that the United States is a nation state because a lot of people claim that they are either legally or identify to be American, right? They say, not identify, but that's a little weird of a word now, but say that they are American. 33, define shatterbelt and balkanization. A shatterbelt is caught between a conflict. So it's an area in between a conflict. So you got a war in between two states, right? And there's a state right in the middle of those two states that is just caught in between all of it, right? Balkanization is the fragmentation, is the fragmentation or state into smaller, often hostile units. For example, former Yugoslavia. 34, explain differences of two political entities that formed in the following states: Korea, Vietnam, Germany, and Spain. I forgot to put Spain on my paper, but I've got Korea, Vietnam, Germany, and Ireland. Okay, so Korea was separated in North and South Korea. Vietnam was also split in North and South Vietnam. Germany was split east and west, and Ireland was split in Northern Ireland and the United Kingdom. 35, explain the devolution of Spain. This is, I just wrote it down, the decentralization of power to autonomous communities. Also, and it's okay. Let me explain. So Spain has all of these colonies, and they slowly become more and more autonomous. Autonomous meaning having more power, but still kind of being connected to the same area, right? But this is also considered devolution because the power is being transferred from the central government down. 36. Define the following borders: antecedent, subsequent, consequent, and geometric. I'm probably saying the first one wrong. Antecedent is established before significant settlement. Subsequent are boundaries made after settlement. Consequent are boundaries made to accommodate ethnic divisions. And geometric or straight borders. So we look at geometric, and you can look, it's just a straight line. North and South Korea is just a straight line, right? The United States and Canada, however, is not, and it's got little bumps on it. It is not a completely straight line. A geometric border is completely straight. Consequent are drawn after or to accommodate ethnic divisions. So this may happen. I don't really have an example at the moment, but if two ethnicities just aren't really compatible, this can also be religion or cultural ideals can cause that as well. Subsequent are borders made after settlement. So you settle somewhere, colonists settle somewhere, and they make borders. Antecedent are established before significant settlement. So these are borders that are already there before they came there. This is the last one for all of them, which is 37, to find the median line principle. So you got two countries, and in the middle they draw an equal line in between the two of them as the border. This is particularly in maritime boundaries. Anyway, thanks for using this. I'm glad you did. That's all of them for the AP Hug midterm review paper. Got all my credentials here. So, yeah, glad you used it. Thank you.